All right, guys. So, what we're going to do today is go over the answers to your Early Human Study Guide. If you are here in class with me, I just wanted to say thank you because you did complete your study guide. And if you did not complete your study guide, you will need to do that and you will be placed into a breakout room so that you can finish your study guide so you'll have time to do that today. So, for those of you who are here, you are going to go ahead and change any of the answers. So you should actually have this up with you right now. And if I were you, I would do a split screen so that you can see not only your screen, but you can see mine too. And then that way, if you have an answer that you got, if it was incorrect, or maybe you had a question on a couple of these and you didn't know, you can actually type it in as we go. Okay, so if you missed anything at all, go ahead and change your answers. If you didn't answer just a couple questions, you can also put the answers in. So I'll give you a second to split your screen. In case you forgot, I will show you right now. You basically need to, I'll open up a new tab, a new window, I mean. So what you're gonna do is grab the window that's open, and I think you just kind of, oh wait, never mind. I don't have the same computer as you guys. I'm so sorry. But you do that. So basically, if you're on a Chromebook, you grab the page that you're on and you slowly just move it over. And you'll notice that when you get to about right here, this portion of your screen will become dark. You'll still be able to see through it, but it'll become dark. And that's when you let go of this page and it will split your screen for you. And what other page that you want on, so the other one that you want on, you're gonna do the exact same thing. So you'll just grab the page that you're on, move it slowly over, and when you get to about right here, then this side will become dark and you're gonna drop that and you'll have two documents up. And what you're going to see is basically the video that you're watching right now, and you'll have your own document up. That way you can watch one and type on the other. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go over these answers right now. And like I said, if you miss anything, change your answers. And when we are done, I will give you all the opportunity to ask any questions that you need. So along the way, let's just hypothetically say you got number 2 incorrect. You can just very quickly highlight number 2. Or if you had a question about number 2 or 3 or anything, highlight it so that you remember to go back and ask me a question about it later. Otherwise, you are definitely going to forget because there's too many questions on this test to remember everything. So if you have a question about any of these study guide questions, highlight it. Please do not interrupt in the middle because this is actually a video. So I will not be able to give you any clarification until the end. At the very end of this video, you can ask as many questions as you need. All right, here we go. Number 1, list the 4 early humans in chronological order. So number 1 is Australopithecus, 2, Homo habilis, 3, Homo erectus, and 4, Neanderthal or Homo neanderthalensis. Number 2, who began using fire first? Only by controlling it, and that would be the Homo habilis. They could contain it, but they could not make it. Okay, number 3, who learned how to make and control fire? That was the Homo erectus. Number 4, name 3 reasons why fire was a useful tool to both early humans and ourselves. So the fire was a useful tool because it scared predators away. It gave humans the ability to cook their food. It kept them warm at night. It gave them light so they could see in the dark at night. And you might have another answer that fits, and that's absolutely fine. Those are the 4 that I have right now. Number 5, who were the first early humans to create and use tools? And the first early humans were the Homo habilis. Homo habilis. Number 6, why didn't Neanderthal take care of the elderly as many of us do today? Well, the reason they didn't take care of the elderly was because, or people who couldn't pull their own weight, was because the elderly needed too much care. And remember, that sounds extremely harsh, and it is, but they lived during the Ice Age, during the harshest climate in human history, okay? Yes, we have Antarctica. Nobody lives there right now except for scientists, and they don't live there year round. They don't have their entire lives set in Antarctica. So the Neanderthals could not actually afford to take care of anyone who couldn't pull their own weight because their very survival depended on it. Number 7, Lucy is the fossilized remains of what early human? She was an Australopithecus. Number 8, what early human was nicknamed Handyman and why? So that would be Homo habilis, and that's because they were the very first to make tools. Number 9, what nickname did we give Australopithecus? We gave them the name Southern Ape, and that's because they did have ape-like features and they lived in southern Africa. Number 10, which early human lived entirely during the Ice Age? So that would be the Neanderthal. The Homo erectus lived during the Ice Age at the end of their time here on Earth. And also we did, the Homo sapiens. That was at the beginning. So, but the only human to ever live their entire existence during the Ice Age would be the Neanderthals. Number 11, what continent was the first early human discovered on? That continent would be Africa. 12, what is the name of the oldest Australopithecine skeleton? Her name is Lucy. 13, why was Neanderthals' body size crucial to their survival? So they were small, smaller than us. They were more muscular for sure, but they had smaller bodies and they were shorter than us. And the reason that was so crucial was because they needed to have a smaller body surface area to contain warmth. So if you think of it like a room, if you have a very small bedroom and you have a small heater inside of the bedroom, it's still going to heat up, okay, a lot faster than having a small heater in a very big room. It takes a lot less energy to heat up a smaller body than it does a very big body. So that's why it was crucial to their survival to be small. Okay, list 2 tools the first early human used. So they used their hands, they used sticks, rocks, and anything they could find in nature. They did not make anything. It was all already there, things that they could find in nature. Number 15, list 2 different tools the second early human used, including the use and material. So they didn't have any specific tools like the other 2 humans that we're going to talk about in a second, but they did create their own tools, and they were basically sharp sticks and sharpened rocks. And they used that by banging the rocks together and getting pieces of the rock that were sharp, or they banged them together to make them sharp. So they had sharpened sticks and rocks and bones, okay? So those are the new tools. And of course, they were made out of stone and used to cut things, smash things open, that sort of thing. All right. 16, list 2 different tools the third early human used, including the use and material. So now we're on to Homo erectus. Homo erectus was the very first human to create a spear. That's huge. And that was made from a simple branch from a tree and sharpened at the bottom. It was not very sophisticated, but it worked well, and that was for hunting at close range. They also were the first to invent the hand axe. So if you think of a teardrop, okay, think of a teardrop. Now, in your mind, turn the teardrop completely upside down. That is the shape of a hand axe. Now you hold it by the rounded part, okay? The rounded bottom part, and that sharp part was the part that you would use to hit things with, to smash them open. And they were always made out of stone. And they were used as a multi-purpose tool to open things, to cut things, to crack things open, okay? They also, so the spear, the hand axe, they also used stone knives. Those are made from stone, used also to cut things. Now, the last question for tools was 17. List 2 different tools the fourth early human used, including the use and material. So now we're on to Neanderthals. And the Neanderthal they also used a spear. You can list spear again because this was a totally different spear. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the spear at the end, sorry, because there's all kinds of tools on the spear. So another tool that they used was sinew, and sinew is made from animal parts. And I've told you, like, if you've touched the back of your heel and you feel that bendy, it feels almost like a vein, but it's not. That could be considered sinew from an animal. So it's the thicker insides that are string-like. They would dry those out, and they would use them for string to tie things together. They also used resin, which is from a tree. It's from plants, and it's a very sticky material. And when it dries, it's extremely hard, and it's like glue. So they used it for glue, to glue things together. So now we can go back to the spear, because the spear is just made out of a simple branch and sharpened at the end. However, the Neanderthal used this something called a triangular point, which is another tool. And they would glue the triangular point onto the end of the spear using resin. Then they would tie it all together with sinew. So the triangular point was used as a knife or a spear tip. So now we've got 4 tools, or 5. I think we're up to 5 now. And they also used something called the Lavawa blade. And that was their biggest technological achievement. And they actually were able to make them 5 times sharper than a surgeon's scalpel. So I think we're up to 6 new tools now, but you only need 2. So hopefully you have those. Please don't write hand axe for 17 because the hand axe was invented long before the Neanderthals. And then also please don't use cliffs. And my other class used cliffs as a tool. There's plenty to use that you don't actually need to use cliffs or anything like that. Use one of those that we just talked about. All right, number 18. What was Lucy named after? So Lucy was named after a Beatles song called Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And 19, where did the Australopithecus live? They lived in southern and eastern Africa. How tall were the Australopithecus? So the women were 3 feet. They were significantly shorter than the males. And the males were between 4.5 and 5 feet. Number 21, the Australopithecines' diet consisted mainly of plants, fruits, nuts, vegetables. They ate a vegan diet, okay? However, when they could, which was not often, they would definitely, because back then, in order to survive, they had to, they would scavenge. So that would be if maybe a big predator killed an animal and ate it, they would eat whatever was left after that animal ate it. So they would scavenge when they needed to. And number 22, the Australopithecines' shelter was either in tall grass, under trees, or under rock overhangs. Number 23, why didn't the first or second early human live in caves? They didn't live in caves because they had no weapons to protect themselves. Predators live in caves, and they just simply couldn't fight them off. They had no weapons yet. Number 24, which early human stole caves from Neanderthal? I didn't teach this, so I'm not going to ask this on the test, but it was on here. I must have missed that. The people who stole caves from the Neanderthal were us, the Homo sapiens, or you could have put Cro-Magnon as well. Number 25, what 4 ways did the Homo habilis communicate? So the Homo habilis were able to communicate through body language. They were able to communicate through sounds such as grunts. They were able to communicate through physical means, through touch, and they were able to communicate through gestures. Number 26, how did the Homo habilis get a fire and keep it contained? So the Homo habilis, we found evidence of their fire rings where they would collect rocks and keep the fire contained. And that's how they kept it contained. And they actually got it through natural means. So they weren't able to actually make fire, but they got it from lightning strikes. As you can, I mean, living in California, you know all about that. If lightning strikes and it's dry, it will cause a fire. So that's what happened in Africa a lot as well. And they were able to contain those fires. And they kept it going by putting on dry grass, dry leaves, and other dry substances. So number 27, what does Homo habilis mean? It should say what is its nickname, and that would be the handyman. 28, what two early humans lived during some or most of the Ice Age? So that would be Homo erectus and the Neanderthals. 29, what stone did Homo erectus use to make fire? So I guess that would have been a good tool for Homo erectus as well. And that would have been the flint stone. Number 30, what was the first early human to cook their food? It should say who. I don't like that one. So who was the first early human to cook their food? And that would be that would be Homo erectus. Homo erectus were the first early humans to cook their food. And were Homo erectus carnivores, omnivores, or herbivores? And the correct answer is omnivores. That means they ate meat and fruit and vegetables just like us, most of us. 32. Who was the first to migrate out of Africa? That would be the Homo erectus, and they went to Asia and Europe. Number 34, what did the Homo erectus use fire for? That's just a repeated question. Just the answer can be found above in, I think it was the first 5 questions, like why was it a useful tool? So we already talked about that. It's the same reason. 35, what does Homo erectus mean? And that's again asking for its nickname, which was upright man. 36, what type of shelter did the Homo neanderthalensis live in? And that would be caves. Now, yes, they did make very temporary shelter if they got stuck outside while they were hunting, because sometimes that took a couple days. But the answer is caves. They lived in caves. They had to in order to survive. It was too cold otherwise. 37, what made the Neanderthals different from other early humans? There's actually quite a few things, but let's see what we can come up with. So they were the very first early humans to be able to speak. They were the first early humans to wear clothes. They were the first early humans to only live in caves. They were the first early humans to, they were the only early humans to live their entire existence during the Ice Age. They were the only ones that were adapted to a cold climate, and they're still the only ones. Let's see, they had bigger brains than all of the other early humans, including us. We're not an early human, but they even had bigger brains than us. That's all I can think of right now. But if you have others, we will talk about that as soon as we're done. Let's see. What did the Neanderthals need to survive at night? So remember, it was so cold that they absolutely had to have fire in order to survive during the nighttime. 39. 4 out of 5 Neanderthals did not see their 40th birthday, which means 4 out of 5 Neanderthals died before they turned 40 years old. Number 40, which early human did not make tools? That would be Australopithecus. 41, which early human used the Lavawa blade? That is actually spelled incorrectly. That was 5 times sharper than a surgeon's scalpel. And what was it used for? So that was the Neanderthal, and it was used to cut in tiny places, like in between the ribs of an animal. Number 42, which early human was the first to wear clothes and why? So that would be Neanderthal. It was not because they were modest or for a fashion show. It was because it was absolutely freezing. And in order to survive, they had to wear clothes. So it was basically out of necessity. Number 43, which early human was the first to migrate out of the original continent? That's the Homo erectus. And which continents did they migrate to? They migrated to um, Europe and Asia. Why was the Neanderthal's nose so big? It was so big because it would have frozen if it was smaller like ours, because the nose created enough mucus to make their nose, like the inside of it, not freeze. And it would also help to warm the air as they were breathing. So it was actually a necessity. And then the last one I'm not going to answer because we might have a similar question. I mean, as long as you know about the shelters, you will be fine on this. So I can talk about shelters but you are going to have to know why they changed. So we will talk about that in a minute. So describe how the shelter changed from the first early human to the last. So, I mean, the first one, they didn't even have shelter. They just sheltered in grass and under trees and under rock overhangs. And then they started to build lean-tos. Those are very basic shelters. Then they started to build huts that were made of mud, and they also used caves. And finally, they used caves. So they changed because of the animals. Basically, they were able to defend themselves from predators, but also they got smarter about where they lived, and they learned how to build things, and they could critically think. Okay, now if you have any questions at all, I'm going to give you just a second. So go ahead and look through your answers right now. If you go ahead and maybe write down, if you need to, the ones that you want to talk about, or you can just put your hand up in the chat right now, and we'll go over anything you need to. And then we're going to play a Kahoot. And if there's time, we have one of those quiz is to play. So hopefully there'll be time for that. All right. So go ahead and put your hand in the chat if you need if you have any questions.